Here's how having it all can be the worst hell on earth, and how I ended up hating my Porsche. Back in 2003, I was looking for cars, and I was looking to lease a car. And the guy that I was talking to said, we've got a couple of cars that are in your range, and there's somebody that's trying to get out of their lease payments, and I want you to take a look at that car too. So I went to the car lot, and there are these cars, and one was like a Mercedes SUV, the other one was a BMW SUV. And so I looked at those, liked them, they were in my range. And he said, also, by the way, the car I was talking about is right next to, it's the Porsche over there. I was like, that Porsche? He said, yep, that Porsche. I instantaneously fell in love. That Porsche, it was not a white one. It was actually a cabriolet. It was a black on black on black, which means black paint, black interior, and also black soft top. So it was a convertible on top of all that. And then it had these amazing rims, these 19-inch polished chrome rims. It was the most amazing, coolest car ever. So I was, needless to say, I was in love with this car. And I love speed. I had that thing over 120 miles an hour more than once, many times. I love taking corners. I love the handling of it. I just like the German craftsmanship that they put into these cars. You can drive them like crazy and they never break down. So for a long time, wherever I took this car, I park it, and I wasn't double parking or anything like that, just a normal parking thing, but have the top down. And every time people would come out, and invariably it'd be a guy, which is crazy. I thought it might be also girls and stuff like that. Not that I was trying to attract that, but it was a sharp car. And guy would come out and say, hey man, that's a nice car. It's got this engine in it. It goes 0 to 60 and so and so. What do you think about all that? I don't know anything about cars. I don't know anything about the horsepower. I didn't care. I just like driving a really nice car. And this would happen over and over and over. My wife and I would go on drives with it. We'd go out, you know, when the stars were out, put the top down and just do romantic stuff. And I really, really loved the car. What I noticed started happening over time after several months, people were still doing that. And they say, oh man, dude, nice car. And I'd be like, yeah, thanks, bro. And I noticed, you know, I was like, I started catching that, like that love, that, oh my God, that exuberance, that puppy love that you get over something new, started like wearing off. And on top of that, about that time, well, just a few years earlier, we had gotten in our first house. And we went from a small apartment to a really nice house, our first house. And we felt like, you know, somebody said, hey man, this guy needs to get out of his house. He's in the military. And he's looking for somebody to buy it, or he might even rent it. And so we said, we can't buy it. He said, well, look, if you rent it, I'll knock $500 off the rent. I'll subsidize it. Me and my wife looked at each other like, we're getting in this house. It's amazing. And we did. So along the time, back to Porsche, more months went by, and it started getting where people were like, hey man, great car. And I was like, yeah, man. I was kind of meh about it. Like, yeah, you know, yeah, thanks. You know, not ungrateful, but just didn't have the high that I had before. And then I caught myself like, man, I'm getting kind of tired having to squat all the way down to get in this car, right? I'm 6'4", and Porsches are low to the ground. So there was that. And then I was always like, well, you know, man, I kind of getting tired. Only can have two people in the car at once. There was a back seat, but with my seat pushed back, nobody could sit behind me, and it had to be somebody short, and only a kid could sit behind that person. So really, for all intents and purposes, only two people could be in that car. And I just started realizing, man, I was like, man, you know, I don't have the love like I did. And on top of that, the same thing was happening, like with our house. We started people would come by and love that house. Once you got in there, it looked a lot bigger than what it was. It had like this big vaulted ceilings in the living room, and it had smaller living quarters, right? Other than the master, everything else, you know, smaller rooms all pushed off to the side. And we just caught ourselves like, well, you know, I wish the house was bigger. I wish it was designed like this, had a different design. I wish the front yard wasn't so big. We had more space in the backyard versus the front yard. And then the appliances, we should have newer appliances. Guys, the point I'm making here is the things that we were so in love with and so excited about, it just started going down over time. you may have experienced this yourself. Like there's people I know that got 10,000 square foot homes. You've even seen people on social media. I've got a Lambo, but I'm kind of tired of that. Now I've got the Ferrari, right? Like, are you kidding me? Or they've got a yacht, but it isn't big enough because the next person got a bigger yacht and they want even a bigger yacht than that. And what this is all pointing to is I personally came to a point where I just wasn't happy. I had what everybody thought they should have, and I wasn't happy. And I'll give you another backdrop to that. When I was a kid, I grew up, we were poor. I mean, a lot of people have this story. My mom raised 4 kids by herself for 10 years. We were on food stamps. We went to Goodwill to get our clothes. Sometimes we got hand-me-downs from the neighbors that got their clothes from Goodwill, and we had a smaller house. What I will tell you about that, even though that sounds like it could be sad, I had an amazing childhood. I can remember just in the summers riding barefooted on our bikes and just walking everywhere, going to the pool, going to the boys club, playing ball, football, basketball, or whatever. And we didn't have much. Doggone sure didn't have a Porsche, but we were happy. And I remember looking back on that going, I just liked hanging out with my friends and the relationships and the experience of the day. And as a child, it was like, there wasn't like an end to anything. You just wanted to go and go and go. And just seemed like there was this endless thing of fun, right? And I had this realization. And I had a feeling. I had this awareness that, man, where has forever gone? Where has forever gone? Even the coffee's tasting watered down. And what I'm saying is all these things that brought all this joy and this juice of life, it just kind of was gone. I was like, wow, I've got everything. I have a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, great home, beautiful car, business. I was wearing nothing but Hugo Boss suits, but I had lost it. I had lost the zest, I guess, for life. And so I want to talk about also, the realization that I had that got me out of that. But before I do that, I'm Mike, and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs, business owners ascend, create, if you will, the life of their dreams through spiritual technology and business strategy and concepts. Let's get back to what I was saying before I forget. So I had this realization once I got past the where has forever gone, the coffee's tasting watered down. It just seemed like everything's turning gray and I'm losing the saturation, the vividness of life. And this is what I want to say to you, is your happiness, your peace and joy. You should always be able to have peace and joy no matter what. The thing is, it's not out there. It's not over there. It's not over there. It's not the car. It's not the house. It's not even the people. It's not the person. It's not them that brings you peace and joy. And what's going on is that this virtual reality we live in, life, the matrix, it's drawing our attention out here. And this is where we are used to looking for happiness. Even in a job, all that stuff is out here. And what I want to tell you, you will never, ever, ever have lasting peace and joy and happiness if you're looking for it out there. And what I came to was that it's not material things, because when I went back to being a kid, we didn't have material things. But I was always had this joy and peace, despite some tough things going on financially in our house, not having a dad for 10 years, all that stuff going on. But I look back at my childhood as amazing because of that, because of the fun, because of the experiences. So what do you do? What do you do? If it's not out there, it's not me chasing the next job, because you know the deal. You've got a great job, got a great promotion, and next thing you know, oh my God, you're partying. And then a year or two later, you're like, man, I'm doing too much work. They need to promote me. I need to make more money. All those things. It will always get old. So what I'm going to tell you is this. This is what you do. It's not out there. It's all in here. And there's this thing called Fibonacci. Looks like this. I don't know if you can see this. This is like some sort of shell, and you can see it's unwinding and getting bigger and bigger, almost like the Milky Way, like the galaxy. You can see it. It's kind of whoosh, spreading out. It's still expanding. The universe is still expanding, and you can see that. But also, it's never ending, going within. And this is what I'm talking about. Your happiness, your joy, your peace is not out here. It's within. It is limitless and it's boundless. When I found this place, everything that I did, I was okay with. I stopped looking for my happiness in things, in cars, in homes, in money, in suits, in my Hugo Boss suits. I stopped looking for that. And I found peace and joy within. And then everything else, when you do that, everything else becomes, you're doing it for the experience, not for what you can get from this person, looking for this beautiful woman to bring you happiness, or that man to give you happiness, or that car to get your happiness from, or the boat, or the new house, or whatever. You'll stop doing that, and you'll know where happiness lies. It's in here. It's in the stillness. It's in the quietness. Again, it's boundless and it's limitless, and it's always there for you. So if you find yourself in this place, and life happens, right? There's stuff you get sad and mad and upset about. Always turn back in and know that peace and joy that you really want is always there. So when the ebb and flow of life happens, the highs and the lows, right? When it happens, I'm not trying to do the worm on you guys, even though I can. But when the ebb and flow of life happens, just know it's okay to feel a certain type of way. But peace and joy always await you. If you watched this long, just want to say thank you and say that I've got some gifts for you. First of all, I have a weekly newsletter. And in that newsletter, I share tips and things about spirituality, spiritual technologies, business tips, concepts that you can join those things together, right? And so if you want to be on that list, there's a link in the description for that. There's also a link, if you're in a place where you feel maybe something similar, maybe you have everything in the world that you could have, but you still don't have happiness and you need or want some help with that. Or maybe you're in a place where you're looking to aspire and ascend to grow your business, to grow your opportunity and things that you're working on, the 6 and 7 figures. If that's you. There's also a link in the description that allows you to fill out a brief application so I get to know a little bit about who you are and where you're at. And also just to hop on a quick call to see if it might be a fit to work together. All right. Hope that serves you. Hope you know that, having it all can be hell on earth, and having a Porsche doesn't mean you're going to be happy.